You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Bishop West Real Estate Mobile Tower right here in, I guess, rainy, soggy Northport, Florida. I am actually in the car on my way up to Muncie, Indiana to see my son and to help move in his family into the house at Ball State University area. So we are on the road again. And I've got a special guest in the house today. Mr. Deputy Chief is in the house. How you doing there, Chief?
Good. How you doing, John?
I'm not too bad. So can you give us an update on the city of Northport right now?
Yeah. So as of right now, and those that are watching, if they follow the updates through the city through the northportfl.gov/alerts, there's been some updates from the city on the emergency alerts. So pretty much the city of Northport had closed operations for today due to Hurricane Debbie's impacts. But the garbage and everything, recycling, yard waste pickups will continue as scheduled for the city of Northport. So we had some minor flooding in some areas, minor to significant in those areas, but we don't anticipate it to remain there for long. Some areas on Salford, Grove, Granada area along Tamiami Trail, Northport, some of the areas that we tend to normally, as longtime residents here in the city, expect to see some standing water and some probably not passable for smaller vehicle traffic in the area of the Grove, Granada area of the city. But we are getting some latest reports now of the interstate that's having some washout that currently FHP is monitoring right now. And they have the engineers out there looking at the Sumter and I-75 exit. Looks like it's the northbound side. There's some washout there that we currently are working with FHP and their engineers on determine whether they're going to shut down portions of the interstate on that side of the roadway. So they're currently monitoring that right now.
And didn't we have some staff go up to help Sarasota County in different areas to try to relieve some of their police force and kind of help out like we had happened with Ian?
Yeah. So, really early this morning, the storm, had impacted us. Not that we thought it would, especially in the city of up in the city of Sarasota County in the north part. We got a call early this morning. The chief got a call from Chief Rex Trochet that parts of their city were underwater. The levels were rising, and that they needed help. So quickly this morning, Chief and I mobilized with our captains, about 13 officers and about 12 to 13 physical assets between high water vehicles, our Bearcat that has the snorkel capability, high water trucks with tow winches on them, and our public works team, Chuck Speak, had mobilized 2 airboats to assist the city of Sarasota and their residents in evacuation. We're getting photos in now that are quite remarkable of the heroic efforts that our officers and public works team have done to help evacuate some of the elderly in these areas that have been impacted significantly with high waters. So it brings back a lot of memories here of our residents here in the city that we've gone through many, many times. We're fortunate this time that the storm spared us here down south. Okay. Yep. So, but we're continuing to monitor our levels, which Chuck Speak and his team feel that is pretty good. But we're kind of blessed, and it's nice to quickly turn the hand to help others when they were there for us. So, absolutely.
Well, as always, if the citizens have any comments or questions, if you're listening on Facebook, please feel free to type them in. We are here to answer questions along the way. I appreciate everything that the police department has done, one, for our protections, but also helping out other communities and kind of giving that payback back to the fellow communities around us too, because we count on their support when we're in time of need, don't we, Chris?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Our you know our community and our first responders, our fire department too. I got a shout out to our fire department that are also up there with their deuce and a half helping out. But tremendous teamwork and everyone coming together. We have a great community. And people all come together. And I tell you what, it's we're very blessed here. We're very blessed in our city.
So what else is happening within the Department of Police, and what is some of the hot topics for you right now that are kind of being out there?
As of right now, with everything going on?
Yeah.
Right now, it's just providing. We're monitoring operations right now. As we're still monitoring of the levels of what happens north affects south, right? With water,
Yep.
that comes down from the Manatee. So we're paying attention of how much water Manatee County and the northern counties have taken in. That's going to come down and trickle through the Myakkahatchee. But again, Director Speak from Public Works, his team, there was a lot of talks of did they lower the water levels in the city? They did. They certainly did. Lessons learned from many years and decades of what we do here about lowering the water levels, getting them out. But obviously right now, the city of Sarasota is experiencing high tide right now on top of what they have in there. So, and they're still getting some bands of rain coming through right now to the northern part of Sarasota. So they're in still for a little long haul of a tough time. But again, we're still monitoring, and we're ready and prepared to address anything that occurs in our city. But we're also prepared to assist our local partners.
Well, that's fantastic. So I've got a quick question by Red Rob. What about the drug addicts and strung out homeless people that our area is infested with? Can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So, that the homeless, people experiencing homelessness, that's always been a continuing struggle nationwide on handling them. There's some laws that protect that we have to work with and work around with and affording them and getting them the help and the care that they need. And obviously if they're in public areas or in private property, and they're causing a problem, we can get them moved. But we also try to continue to provide services to them to help them, get back on their feet, not be in a crisis of homelessness. So we really have it. That's why we've continue to basically add more resources to our homeless outreach team, our officers that continue to work with them. So I can honestly say that compared to other cities and issues when it comes to people experiencing homelessness, Northport is actually in a very good position of dealing, assessing, and handling the homelessness in our city.
And I want to kind of go back. He threw that question out there, and I thought I'd go to it, but I want to go back to the. I now know it's not your expertise, but you've been around Northport for a long time, and we have been managing our canals extremely well. And contrary to what people believe, during Ian, we actually lowered the levels of the canals. But I know this is. You guys all work closely together when it comes down to this stuff, and the canals they get lowered, but there's a threshold that the federal government has set for wildlife containment too, isn't there? Do you know that regulation?
I do not know that regulation. I can't speak to that, but what I can attest to is that, again, Public Works, Chuck Speak's team, our assistant city manager, Julie Belia, who has a lot of institutional knowledge, has been with the city for over 40 years, that, there's so much institutional knowledge of expertise that have been there, known how to handle it, that They do a tremendous job. And again, people have to remember not the amount of water we take in that we like, even during Hurricane Ian that we had of a monster storm that just laid down so much rain at a slow pace, but that also the north of the cities and the northern ends of the state, in the middle of the state, that water rain comes down through into the Myakka and it hits us again. And it's just a double whammy. It's always been that way. But I think our team has just been very good at dealing with that. They're not, if you're going to hope for one day that all roads are going to be dry and there's no going to be, I don't see that happening in any near future. There's always going to be a challenge. What we work hard and we continue to work hard to mitigate the amount of localized flooding.
Well, we have 80 miles of canals. All of them are regulated and have we have systems in play with the years of management. I kind of get tired of hearing the city's not doing anything. When it comes to the storm related stuff, you guys are not just, waiting till the storm happens and then getting called in. You guys are talking about the storm when it's in the Gulf, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We are in pre-planning stages. We have, even the police department, we have, and as the fire department has, additional, resources and checklists that we have. What are we doing, 72 hours before the storm, 96 hours before this. So what are we doing in all these hours? And we have these checklists of prepping for it and preparing and planning. So, all of us go through incident command courses, ICS, and the city puts a lot of emphasis in absolutely command structure training for mass incidences, major incidences, especially during hurricane situations or major events.
Would you mind if I read something that was posted by a citizen? It doesn't necessarily go directly to you, but I read this post on one of the social media feeds, and I find it to be one, very educational because it deals with the referendum. I know that you're an advocate for the referendum. You've been a lifelong resident of Northport. You are an integral part of the safety of our community with the police department, and you're forecasting out building a new one and trying to educate the public on why. And all of these things I think they all kind of go together on the educational basis. Would you mind if I read her statement?
Sure.
So, neighbor to neighbor, Northport is a city of many wonderful neighbors, and I wonder why a small group of citizens seem to do nothing but complain and don't want Northport to catch up from the past neglect and bad management we had for decades. People condemning the current commission, city manager, city employees for doing what previous commissions refused to do. Our current leadership is doing all they can do to widen streets that should have been widened decades. Replace water system equipment it breaks, correct bag zoning that limits where needed commercial can go because residential taxes cannot keep up with the improvement of Northport needs. We continue to exist being a bedroom community unless we want our taxes to triple or more, driving out the very people now slandering our commissioners, city manager, and others who are making hard decisions to correct a city that has been broken for a long time. We are now seeing the effects of those decades of neglect with the flooding, lack of water and sewer, bad roads, unaffordable housing, and lack of good paying jobs. Our current leadership is now fighting the hard battles to try to correct from some of those things. But the comments by people on city's Facebook page and other Facebook pages, sorry about this, I'm tired, I've been driving all day, prove there are ways to go. People refusing to educate themselves just to remain bitter and angry, and they only want to drag leadership down with gossip and lies. We have disastrous events coming without the changes our city is trying to make, and we are hurt by serious division in the city. This post, I'm going to tell you, this post was very well written. I'm struggling with it today because I'm trying to read it on my iPhone. I'm on Northport Neighbors. It is written by Carol Richardson, and people need to go to Northport Neighbors and look up the post "Neighbor to Neighbor" by Carol Richardson. It is a truthful post of what we're going through in this city. I don't want to talk backwards, Chris. I actually want to talk forwards, because this current commission, city manager and city staff, and police chief, your deputy chief, Chief Titus, all of you at City Hall are driven forward in the messaging that you're trying to get out to the community. You heard a portion of this, and I know it isn't your job to convince everybody why they should just chill out and get educated before they go vote. Don't listen to a lot of the social media information that's out there. Go get educated, understand the cause and effect for your vote, because that is real. As far as like our current leadership, I take great offense to any time that it's thrown in the ring like we're not prepared. This storm, you guys were preparing for this storm long before the storm was coming. You've been preparing for this storm because of Ian, and you guys have done all of that groundwork because of that. We got waterways. We got 80 miles of waterways here that other communities don't have to deal with. All of these things matter. And what would your advice be? And I'm going to stick with the referendum. What would be your advice for people to learn and why they should learn about the referendum?
Oh, John, that's a lot. So yeah, can you hear me all right still?
I can.
Okay. So yeah, that was a very impacting letter or statement. Whoever that she wrote, it's very very humbling to hear that. Our commissioners, especially now, are definitely at a trying time. They're making tough decisions, but they're making the right decisions because they know what's the right decision based on the information they have.
Hold on, Chris.
Yep.
Hold on. So go back. They're making the right decisions.
Okay.
Go back to where you were saying they were making the right decisions.
They're making the right decisions.
It kind of cut out.
I'm sorry.
They kind of cut out a little bit. Go ahead.
Our commissioners are making the right decisions, and they're making tough decisions, but they're the right decisions. And they're making these decisions based on the information that they have, based on experts, teams that are here, the financial aspects, the finance director team, the consultants, and all that. They know what is needed for this city to thrive. They know, and the city manager knows that as well. For a city to be the only city not able to go out to get debt to pay for services or increase infrastructure, all that is kind of very scary, because the only other place you're going to get that is by raising people's taxes. People don't want that. So you have to have these other sources and other avenues to where you can be able to thrive, have more money revenue come in by building infrastructures. And if you don't have that and there's no other source to do that, they're going to raise taxes. So what the city's asking for is no different than what any other 411 cities in the state of Florida are asking for. The biggest thing, John, if it can make, to put this in perspective about the way the charter is written, and this charter was written back in 1959 with General Development. And basically General Development at the time owned all the land, so they had all the say, so the board couldn't vote without General Development say. And that charter's never changed. So the intent of that charter is not what the intent of today is for cities to thrive and to maintain. But let me put it, so Hurricane Ian hit us. It hit us significantly, all right, to where we had to tap into our reserves. And we're still trying to pay for the damages between FEMA and insurance. The federal government came to us and said, hey, listen, we can let you borrow this money at zero interest, and you have to pay us back on X so many times, but you have this small of a window to put in for this request. The city couldn't put in for that, to borrow free money from the federal government to pay back. We couldn't even borrow. We couldn't even accept it. I think that opens up to people's mind, like, wow, we couldn't, because it's so restricted the way it's written that we are not allowed to go out for any debt unless it's voter approved. And that's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. So the commissioners know that, our city manager knows that, and they're like, this is the same. We got to inform our citizens that this is not this needs to change. You need to allow the people that you elect, our 5 commissioners, we have to trust them. And that's the biggest word, is trust them, that they're making the right decisions and they're doing it to speak for the people. And if you don't trust them, then you don't vote for them, obviously. But at the end of the day, those are your commissioners who speak for your entire city. And they're the ones that are knowledgeable, have all the knowledge, knowing what's right, what's needed for this city. They're surrounded by experts in the field of certain departments in the city. Consultants, experts, all in those fields to help them make those right decisions for the city and for the future. And I can tell you this, being a longtime resident of the city, living here, working here, there's been a lot. There's not, these past commissions, I'm not gonna say, but several commissions ago that I've seen opportunities, John, that I look today and go, man, why didn't they do that then? I guess the mindset back then was, we're not going to worry about that now. Let them worry about it in the future. I've seen that, and I've been a part of that. And now, guess what? They're here now to face that, and they are making tough decisions. But they're making, again, it's the right decision. And it's just the people have to know that this is not normal for a city to not be able to go out for debt without voter approval for any debt. And the city's not asking for a blank checkbook. I heard this word.
I'll ask you this in a really bold sort of way. It's that this isn't even trying to fund the police department that you're talking about. This has nothing to do with that, does it?
Oh my God, no, nothing to do with that. The people have talked about this word. Oh, the city commission and the manager wants a blank checkbook. That's not true. That's a perception. Yeah, it's so false. It's projects that have certain limits, just like the county does and other cities do, that they have limitations on. If it's a project that's larger than that, then they have to go out and ask the public, hey, can we borrow more than that? But no, they're not asking for anything that is not normal and is not consistently used throughout the state, local governments in this great state of Florida. So we should not be restricted. We should be equal to.
And they've been throwing out the number one. We are the only city that does not have the capability of borrowing. And I've read citizens say, fine, keep it that way. Okay, that's all well and good, but there's something to be said about going through Ian and finding out that our reserves are important to our city. First off, they are important, and we were set up for success for Ian to hit. I don't know that we're set up to take another Ian at this point. Go ahead.
I can tell you this right now. We cannot sustain another hurricane hit like we just endured. There's no way that the city would not be able to sustain. Again, we took a good hit, and without going out for debt, and that's why we're doing what we're doing right now to not only build infrastructure for the future to strengthen our city, but in the event of a major incident happens again, to where the federal government does ask, hey, you want to borrow money? We have that ability, right? So the city manager, the commissioners have done a great job in drafting a referendum that explains to the citizens the intent and the purpose to use and to go out and borrow for debt. And I think that's very it's very manageable and very acceptable to all the residents of the city of Northport.
And I wanted to ask you that directly because you are leadership within the police department, and you're telling everyone right now, from the police department side of things, this referendum is not to build the police department. It is not to fund that. Correct?
That's correct. So we plan, John, the commissioners approved 100% design of the new police headquarters that the city knows, and great to our commissioner, our city manager, of knowing the critical need of a new headquarters that we're in right now. Yep. They have pushed forward, invested, funding into our police headquarters moving forward. There's going to be a point, probably sometime next year, where they are specifically independently going to ask specifically for the residents to ask to borrow money for the police headquarters. But what's in November has nothing to do with the police headquarters for that.
That's awesome. So I do want to say this. When it comes to the social media stuff, you guys are pretty active out there. The city is very active on trying to get the word out there. And I think they've done a much better job in recent years combating the bad players and the bad information that's out there. Everybody has to keep in mind that while the city does have an agenda to run a good, clean city, to run it as vibrantly as they can, and to keep it moving in the upward momentum, it's really hard to run a city if you're restricted on running it to be the greatest it can be. We kind of are set up right now, in my guess, that we're kind of restricting our leadership by not giving the opportunities to them to go look for different money that's out there, maybe matching funds, different things that you can utilize to double our take on a project. We can't.
Can you, John?
Is that accurate?
Yes, John. Let me put this in perspective to help people understand. Like, you have a job, you have revenue coming in, you want to buy a house. You going to pay for all that, or are you going to take out a mortgage? You're going to borrow debt. Okay. You want a car? You're going to pay for all that in cash? Or you're going to borrow? No. When you're have a new family, new kids, you're going to build your credit up. You're going to buy a car. And that's all debt. So when the city goes out for debt, and that's the other question I think I've heard about the city going out for debt. Oh, they're going to get this and they're going to go crazy with, all these projects. No, before you open up a project, let's say it's for 15 million to borrow that, our CFO and our team, they have to make sure that there's money there to borrow, right? There's money there to pay back that debt. They have to have that source. They can't just borrow money and then not have any way to pay it back. So it's no different than how you and I normally we live. We live to pay we know how much our money comes in to pay for our mortgage. We know how much it is to pay for our cars, and so on and so forth. So our boats or whatever reckon, if you make more money, you have more revenue coming in, you want to buy something, you go, so on and so forth. It's the same in government. Okay. But imagine if you didn't have enough money coming in, but you needed all these things. You had more kids coming in. You can't go out for debt. It's kind of put into that perspective. If that helps you out a little bit.
It does. And I'm hoping that the more that we talk about these things and the more that the citizens are reading the right things, not counting on somebody's personal opinion out there in the social media world, because there's a lot of people out there that they have nothing but negative things to say about the city across the board. Those are not the people you want to follow when it comes to the voting side of things. You need to look at how that's going to affect you as a family. It could really impact your taxes if we don't do some of these things strategically. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, John, I have to say more now than ever, I think the city's communications team has done a phenomenal job on the new web our new web platform for our city, the communications getting out, this real talk that we're doing here, our city manager Jerome Fletcher going out doing these United tours consistently, constantly trying to get it. And you know what, the numbers, are there people there? Yes, but it's not the numbers you want to be. I mean, we're doing everything we can to be transparent, face to face, ask the questions, get the answers. He has all the departments there with them when on the United tours to talk with our residents, to engage the residents. John, you go to almost all of them. So yeah. I have to give a hats off to our city leadership on trying to be as openly communicating to our community as possible, more than ever. And I think they've done a tremendous job with that. I have to give hats off to our city leadership and our city manager for doing that. We get these things in open dialogue. I like the fact that you guys come on, you're willing to take the hard questions from citizens, and reminder, if any citizen has anything they'd like to ask of any topic that we're talking about, please feel free to do so. We've got all kinds of venues now that they're pushing content out. At what point does the citizen have to take some responsibility to start doing some of their own research by just clicking on, like, the city website, getting educated, going to a Northport Forward United tour and asking questions and engaging? That's the hardest part, is to try to figure out why people are not engaging, but they'll listen to somebody on Facebook who's got negative aspects. I'll listen from that. There's so much difference. But the city you're right. The communication out is, I think, I don't know that we've ever had it this good. I hear what you're saying, and everybody's entitled to opinions and how they want to look at things. And when you talk about groups that are negative, and I really do, I can tell you right now, I probably see some of the posts you see, but honestly, John, I think that's the minority. That's not the majority. Okay. And guess who your majority people are? And it's just the way it's always been, silent.
Right.
Because they don't buy into it. They don't get involved. They don't have time for that. But when it comes down to, you know, the day of, and they read it and they understand it, they're going, common sense is they're going to make the right decision and they're going to know. So I really kind of look, yes, I see them, and you wonder, you know, how many people they, they get to try to see their views and their ways. But I just truly believe that that's a minority, but they're not the majority of the citizens of Northport.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I sometimes I think about this stuff. You know, I've got the windshield time now because I'm driving all the way up to I'm driving all the way up to see my son in Muncie, Indiana. So I've had windshield time. I'm looking at the scenery. It is refreshing. I've needed this recharge, so to speak. And ironically, all the way up on vacation, or somewhat vacation, uh, we've had flash floods, we've had weather events. I got on Facebook last night and I was texting Jason Bartolone and I was asking him content questions, and I was getting content out with him last night. They literally are doing like everything they can to keep our citizens updated. They're I look at things and I get this little vibe in me that says, "Hey, slow down," you know. And then I text Jason and I get a response. I text you and I get responses, and I see us as a city blending this communication together, and I get so excited about being part of communication out that I want everybody to have it. I want everybody to feel the buzz. And that's why I like this show, is that it's live streaming, it's questions from the citizens, but it is truly just trying to get information to the citizens at their fingertips.
Yeah.
That's all it is. There is no agenda. The agenda is, can you listen? Can you ask some questions? Can you figure out where we're going with this whole thing? And we've got a great police department, and we're going to do some diving into that. But I just ran into two officers who helped one of my customers the other day, and I was so thankful that they were outside the door by chance, and it just worked out. But all you got to do is go up and talk to the police officers who are on the street, who are protecting us, who are keeping our crime rates down, who are doing all of those things that we don't even think about thanking them for, but we just know they're doing it. And I think that's the point to some of the things that you guys are asking for now. Is the technology is off the chain. You corrected me several weeks ago and said we're not the redheaded stepchild. Well, we're not even the redheaded stepchild in communications out anymore.
Mm.
We're
not.
Go ahead.
No, I think the city of Northport, like I said, I always told it was a sleeping giant, and the sleeping giant's now awake. And I'm just proud to be a part of it and be here to where we are now becoming a very strong, thriving city. And we have great people in great positions that are not reactive, they're proactive. And when you're proactive and you have a mind of where you need to go, I'm telling you right now, it's endless to the safety, the savings, right? A cost and stuff, but it's going to be to where a place where people are going to go going, we need to be doing what they're doing. I want to live there. And I tell you what, when people want to live here in Northport, why they moved here, I tell them, you made a great decision. It's a great place to raise a family. It's a great place to stay safe because, and I speak from the heart because I have a vested interest, John. I was born and raised here. I started Police Explorers. I care about the city is my family. I care about that. I truly mean that. And I care about the impact it makes here. And if there is something, if there's an illness in my city, I have people in my department that are going to be the cure, and they're going to take care of business and get people out of here. But also, again, the technology, like you said, the technology is forefront here in where this world is taking us to, and law enforcement is taking key in that, is keeping our community safe. Our residents are phenomenal in helping us solve cases with social media. You know, we had a person that was graffitiing in the parks, our parks and recs. And Chief and I get briefed weekly on cases and stuff that's going on, and they're giving it to us. And we're like, hey, we have a picture of this guy. Yeah, but put him out on Facebook. Put him out on Facebook, and Josh Taylor and his team, within hours, someone said, yeah, we know who he is, and boom. Our citizens in Northport, if they know you and they see you on our Facebook, you're done. You're toast. They're gonna tell you who you are. So we have great citizens in our community that look to the left, look to the right, keep our neighbors safe, and help our law enforcement in keeping our community safe. So great testament to our citizens working with us as their police department, and keeping the community safe.
You know, you guys do a phenomenal job. And what is it that you do to keep morale up inside your building with your officers?
You know, the morale is, especially in today's world, you know, law enforcement is very challenging, but you let them do their job. Let them do their job. And you let them know that they're going to make mistakes. You got to let them know that they're going to make mistakes, that we're all human. But it's taking care, it's listening. First off, it's listening to them. It's the little things. A lot of policies and a lot of things were changed in our department throughout the years, and it came from the grassroots. It comes from leadership, listening to the people, listening to what is best for them, because at the end of the day, they're the ones out there. They are the true heroes, our law enforcement officers, the patrol guys in the black and whites out there, our detectives. And it's our job as our leadership team to listen to them, tell us what you need, and forecast the future of, do we need more people? Do we need more assets? Do we need more logistics? But in taking and being comparable to others, you know, and that's the other thing, is like just people feeling wanted in an organization is so important. And I really do truly look at was that we're family, and that's what's very, very strong in keeping morale. And everyone that comes here from different agencies, different departments, are just blown away of how they love the city of Northport. They love the city, the employees and the staff. So, but it's really just taking care of your people. You take care of your people, John, they take care of your mission. That's a true statement.
So I'm going to go into this because I've never asked you this. What is the thing within the police department that is your most prideful thing? What is it that you have changed within the walls, or you and Chief have changed within the walls, to really have a different perspective for your officers, and then onto the city? What is it that why is your pride so high? I guess because you are so prideful in it.
It's because Chief Garrison and I, our visions are the same as how we look at a police department, its personnel, what equipment we should have. When he came in here, the first thing was he was very supportive of the Bearcat to protect our officers. But when he got in here, it was, he's all about safety and wellness of officers in the team. And again, we talk about that, taking care of your people, you take care of your people, they take care of your mission, and Chief's a true testament of that. But I can tell you is the transitioning of new ideas to the agency, creating new positions, adding, like, for instance, our SRT team, the addition to, body cameras, the technology, our license plate readers, our cameras, our real-time intelligence center, adding motors to our department, traffic unit, increasing our traffic unit. all of this stuff to where you're now it's being the proud part of us right now, John, is being a self-sustained police department to where we have the staffing to handle situations with our city, respond quickly to situations in our city, help our neighboring partners, which we are doing right this second, which makes me so proud to return the favor. When you are knocked on the ground and kicked in the gut on a hurricane, and you see cars rolling in a mass convoy, that feeling and that emotion I can't explain. Before this phone call, the second in command of Sarasota Police Department called me, Scott Mayforth, and said, "Thank you, Cy, so much, Northport, for helping us." He goes, "I can tell you right now, your guys' entry coming into our city and rolling up to the scene was breathtaking of support. When they saw the convoy of police cars and assets coming in, I know that feeling. The greatest feeling is returning that feeling, giving that feeling back to somebody else when they're hitting the gut and they're down on their luck, to help. Being a police officer, not being able to help others, not having enough resources at the time, that is it's sickening to me. I can't even imagine. So getting those guys up there to help, and again, there's some great pictures out there that I'm sure Josh is going to put out soon. But again, I think it's right now is the greatest part is that we are a strong police department, and we're continuing to grow and thrive. And that's what makes me most excited about the agency, where we are now and where we're heading to be. So
you've got how many police officers do we have today?
Right now we are allocated with 154 sworn officers and 52 professional support staff.
How many did we have when you started?
44.
Is that insane to you or what?
It is. And like I told you, there are stories about the city, the city of Northport, where when I was a rookie cop, Toledo Blade, you couldn't cross over. There were no street signs out there. There were these concrete, I call them like street, your parking lot blocks. They were just white, solid, stenciled street names in them, and stenciled the street name on the road for the helicopter. But there was nothing past Toledo Blade. There was nothing at all. And it's just remarkable just to see the growth and the explosion that the city's had. I always felt, even many, many years ago, the amount of staffing we had. And that's the other thing is that, we're hiring officers in our growth. We were behind the curve with hiring and staffing when we were many years. And that's why that consultant that came in here that did a study analysis, the experts that came in and said, listen, you need to be hiring 14 officers to 16 officers for the next 6 years. And then from there, you drop down for 10. That's all laid out for the city manager that's been following that path, because, we are doing a lot more with a lot less. And that's my biggest fear, is that becomes challenging to the workload of staffing in our city, that people get burnt out very quickly. That's one of the things that you got to be very, very careful for, because people that are overworked, and they're not going to want to stay. They're not going to want to be here. So you got to find that balance, and that's why we're trying to increase the staffing to the levels of our citizens, our calls for service, and our population.
So Eric Davis, thanks for chiming in, Eric. Y'all need to have more meet your local officer events so that the community can come together and give back to our local law enforcement officers and help them out in a proactive way. We do a lot of charity work through our officers, and Shop with the Cop is a huge one. There's just all kinds of things that our police officers really dive into and are an asset to our community on a give back sort of program. How do you feel about that, Chris?
You broke up a little bit, John, on the give back. Can you say that a little bit again?
Well, they did the like Shop with the Cop and different things like that. How do you feel about our police officers really doing the give back and being part of the community as far as that goes too.
Wow, we do a lot. I mean, they do, yeah, like you said, the Shop with a Cop coming up in October is going to be Northport National Night Out for our officers. They do a Protect and Serve fundraisers for Shop with a Cop. We just did the Back to School Bash where we did a flag football event with them. We look forward to doing Coffee with a Cop. Pizza with the Police. We just got our community outreach vehicle that's going to be giving out ice cream and all different types of goodies to our community. So I tell you what, we are very, really much engaged, and we want to continue to be more of that engaged with our citizens and get them to come out. That's the thing, John, is like, we'll host these. It's getting them to come out and to engage us. That's the key right there. We'll set them. We just need you to come.
Yep, absolutely. And how can they find out where you guys are doing that? You guys post that on your Facebook page and also. Yeah, go ahead.
We post that on our Facebook, and we send it out on social media, and then obviously it's word of mouth that also goes out very fast. But we get them out there, and we try to go out in different strategic places throughout the city. Like, we'll go out to Welland Park. We'll go over to Sumter. We try to get out to other places, throughout the city, so it's not always in one place. So sometimes Coffee with a Cop we'll do at Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks or Fox's up in Welland Park. Pizza with the Police, we always like to team up with our local pizza parlors. El Primo's always been good with us, or maybe even Boca Lupa. But we always try to get with all of them to work with our agency and partnership with our community.
And there's always a representative at the Northport Forward events too.
Yes, absolutely. Always there.
So Commissioner Pete Emmerich says that's one of the reasons we are a great city, our police department and our fire department. Can't say it louder than that, but Pete's got a very strong opinion on it. And I think you have a large majority of the city that feels the same way.
Yeah, and thank you, Commissioner Emmerich. But another testament to our commission, that you have a lot of commissioners here that are just not a commissioner they're long-time residents, city employees that have been here that have a lot of institutional knowledge. Commissioner Pete Emmerich has more knowledge now than ever, being a commissioner, of knowing all the ins and outs in other departments than he's ever done, not as a citizen. So he now understands, not just as a citizen, but as a commissioner, the need. And that's so important. That's why people need to listen. You need to trust your commissioners. We can have matters of opinions and difference and up, but at the end of the day, when it's saying this needs to be done, and you have the city staff, your professionals, telling you this needs to be done, you got to trust them. You have to trust them.
Absolutely. I've got about a minute left. One, I want to thank you for taking time out of a really, really busy and hectic day, I'm sure, for you as far as your phone calls and dealing with some of the things you had to deal with over the weekend. I just appreciate you taking time out to be part of the live streaming and 97.5 FM and really giving your time back to us as citizens to hear some insight from the police department's point of view. I think it's very valuable to continue these, and I am really excited about really diving in and getting into some of the new technology that we have out there and getting these conversations going with the citizens also.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, John, for hosting this once a month with us. I think this is a great way to have a conduit between our local law enforcement agency and our citizens of a great city of Northport. So thank you, John, for always doing this and thinking of us.
No problem. I appreciate you. I'm going to be heading back, but Northport, stay strong. Really be uplifting anytime forward. Chris, thanks so much. Tell Chief I said hello, and great job, guys. Just keep it up. All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. This is John Rawlings for KDW Radio 97.5 saying thanks. Have a great day and be safe out there.